Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group, and today's topic I want to discuss with you whether or not an annuity is correct for your situation or it's just a horrible recommendation for your specific situation. And I'll go through a couple different examples. The first example I'm going to go through is we have a client, let's say this person is age 55, and he currently has a couple of old 401k accounts, old IRA accounts that are sitting there. Let's say he has a 401k from an old employer. Maybe that's sitting at about $500,000. He has an IRA contract that's sitting at about $200,000. And then he's currently contributing into a 401k through his current employer. Well, this example, this guy's age 55, and he says, hey, listen, he calls up a Fossey Financial Group and he says, hey, listen, I understand kind of some good things, bad things about annuities. My main goals are right exactly at age 62. I want to make sure that I could leverage a portion of either my 401k account or my IRA account or both of them. I want to make sure that I'm receiving $30,000 per year from these accounts, and this will last me for the rest of my life or me and my spouse's life. So something like this, that this guy calls in and he has a specific income goal, what we could go through is we go through our Retire Sharp planning system. And we go through a whole slew of different scenarios, on average about 1,200 different scenarios, before we give him the top 3 recommendations. We ask him a little bit further questions. Okay, what's the purpose of this money? Do you want to see safe, consistent growth on this account? Whatever that is. And we'll figure out, okay, maybe out of this $500,000 of an old 401k account that he could essentially roll over, maybe in order to accomplish that $30,000 goal, he might only need $225,000. Where he could take $225,000, understand that he's now leveraging that into a type of annuity contract. In this case, it could be a hybrid annuity. It could be, some sort of deferred annuity contract that $225,000 at age 62 will pay him a constant $30,000 year by year by year by year. In one of those scenarios, it checks out because what do? We took out of the $500,000 and the $200,000, so $700,000 of an account, and he currently is contributing to a 401k account. He says, at age 62, I'm going to take Social Security income. Maybe that'll be $24,000 a year, and all me and my spouse need is an additional $30,000 a year to live off of for income. So what we did was, rather than say, oh yes, please take the $500,000 and throw it all into an annuity contract, which is the wrong way to set up an annuity. You want to put as small amount of money as possible because there's certain restrictions with annuities, but you want to put the smallest amount of dollars possible to make sure that you're getting the most optimal result. So with this scenario, you would have had $700,000. We only leveraged $225,000 of that account. And now he has an additional $475,000 of pure cash that he could do whatever he wants with it. If he wants to go throw it into different brokerage accounts, he could do that. He could take on that risk. But what we're doing is we're protecting that portion used specifically for that income goal. The next individual might be, let's say this person's 65 years old. It's a female, age 65. And right now, she's been utilizing a technique known as a Lateran Strategy through fixed accounts that individuals used to always use in the 1980s and 1990s. What they used to do is, let's say if somebody had $500,000 into an account, into some sort of fixed account or in cash, they would go to a bank, purchase a bank CD that might be paying them 10% rate of return. So we understand if they're getting paid 10%, this individual is getting $50,000 every single year for the next 5 years. At the end of 5 years, a person could take that $500,000 because all they were doing was living off of the interest, and now they could reinvest that into the next best thing. So that used to be such a simple way, and I hope, if interest rates go back up, if everything goes back up, that's such a simple way of planning. And with some of the index annuities and some of the hybrid annuities, they work really, really well for today's age. If there is a time that, let's say in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, if interest rates go way back up again, then obviously, the advisor is going to have to tweak out the planning that's going to be in the best interest for the client. So in this scenario, let's say that this lady says, okay, well, I used to be able to take $500,000 and get 10% rate of return on my money. Now, if I go to a bank, get a bank CD, I'm getting 1% rate of return. So that same $500,000 is now only producing me $5,000 a year in income What do I do? I'm locked up. My money's locked up for 5 years, and I'm only gaining $5,000 per year. How exactly can I make sure that this is working in my favor and I'm getting this set up properly? Well, when you're looking at fixed accounts, you could either look at like a bank CD route that is owned through a bank, or you could look at a fixed annuity route. Typically, the fixed annuity will pay this individual, when you say like a 5-year fixed annuity versus a 5-year bank CD, typically it's about 2 to 3 times higher. So with like a 5-year bank CD paying 1%, a 5-year fixed annuity might be paying 3%. Right now it's a little bit less. So same thing, instead of $500,000 that they would only be getting paid $5,000 per year, they can now get $15,000 per year, and then at the end of 5 years, take whatever's remaining and basically purchase the next best thing. Hopefully, interest rates will be higher at that time. That's using a fixed annuity. Now, I hope this makes sense. This is a deferred annuity with an income rider through a hybrid. That's scenario A. Scenario B would be just using a fixed annuity over a bank CD. Then you also have the individual that says, hey, listen, I don't know whether I want to have income. I don't really know how much income I really need. Maybe I just want to leverage a specific contract, a specific annuity contract for, 10 years, kind of test out exactly how the market's doing. And then after 10 years, whatever I gained, I want to basically roll that over into something else, or maybe 10 years or maybe 6 years, whatever that is, whatever that specific client goal is, they just want to basically test out the waters. So you might have a person, an individual that, let's say, is age 60, and they said, you know what, I'm not going to, I want to make sure I have this old IRA that's basically sitting there. Right now, my IRA account is susceptible to mutual fund related fees, advisor fees, downward market loss. If the market takes a tank like it did in 2008, I don't want to lose my account. And eventually, I might want to start pulling money from this account. What is there a better alternative that will make sure that I'm not paying mutual fund related fees, I'm not paying advisor fees, and I'm eliminating downward market loss altogether, but I'm still able to, my account's still able to increase whenever the market goes up? How exactly, is there a product out there? And that describes what an index annuity can perform. So if you have this individual with this IRA account, let's say, a person has $100,000, and they just want to see safe, consistent growth for like the next 6 years or the next 10 years, they could go and roll it over into, it's just going to be an IRA annuity contract. So it's kind of like that same $100,000. Instead of going down with downward market loss and getting dinged with a fee every single year, what they do is it's an IRA contract through an insurance company. So it's essentially as if you took the 100,000, you put a lid over it, and then every year they're going to determine, okay, based upon the stock market index that you choose, based upon what that company is offering, maybe it's an S&P 500. The S&P 500 goes up. Let's say you have a cap of 10% onto that account. Let's say the S&P 500 goes up 8%. Well, you're going to have a gain of 8%. They're going to pull off the lid, pour the gain inside, and now you're going to have a larger account value at the end of the day. Maybe it's now your new account value is going to be 108,000. The next year, let's say the S&P 500 crashes 57% like it did in 2008. Well, because we have that floor of 0% and we have that bucket with the lid over it, essentially, well, after that next 1 year point to point, did the market go up or did it go down? It went down. All right, well, we have a 0% floor, so therefore you're going to gain 0% into that account. The next year, let's say the market went up 12%. Well, in this scenario, let's say that this specific index had a 10% cap. You're not going to receive the full 12%, but you're going to receive 10%. So they're going to open up the lid, pour the gain inside, close the lid, and now you have a larger bucket. So you could play that game with any sort of scenario, but this is where you allow it to beat the pace of inflation, potentially beat the pace of inflation because your account's participating with upward market movements without the downward market losses. Now, when exactly, I'm always talking about the good things about annuities, but annuities could be horrible for the wrong person. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have a younger individual, and let's say that they want to be extremely risky, and they say, oh, listen, I have $100,000 here, and, I'm making buku bucks, and I don't really care. I'm, 35 years old, and I don't really know, maybe I'll retire when I'm 65, but I just want to, go and buy all these commodities. I want to buy all these intricate stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all that. An annuity isn't going to be right for that situation. An annuity is correct for the person that understands the power of compound interest. They understand the negative aspects of the market. They understand exactly when you're buying a mutual fund, there's hidden fees that come with it, or fees that come with it that completely hinder your retirement accounts drastically. One of the scenarios I always go through, I talk to clients about is I always say the My Cousin Vinny routine, right? And the reason why I use that saying is, first of all, I love that movie, but it's whenever you're looking at returns, like, oh, the rate of return was 10%. Oh, we're plus 50% since inception. What exactly does that mean in real terms? Because if I showed you something, if I showed you an account A or account B, and I told you, okay, account A, I could guarantee you in exactly 5 years, your account's going to gain 50%, lose 50%, gain 50%, lose 50%, gain 50%. At the end of those 5 years, you understand you'd be up plus 50%. This would have averaged 10% rate of return, right? Everything on paper shows you that you averaged 10% rate of return at the end of this. Or I went with scenario B and I said, I'm going to guarantee you 0%. Which scenario would you go with? And you look at that, you said, well, on paper, of course, I'm going to go with scenario A. But let's put a little number there. Let's take $100,000, for example, and see what happens when you go with scenario A or B. With scenario B, we understand at the end of 5 years, you'll have $100,000 left, right? At scenario A, you would have started off with 100,000, would have went up to 150, down 75, up to 112,500, down to 56,250, ended off at 84,375. And you could do this with a hand calculator. It's very simple. But scenario B, even though it's not even attractive, all it says is, okay, you were better off throwing your money underneath a mattress rather than waste those 5 years and still losing $15,625, in that $100,000 scenario. So if we could avoid the losses but make sure that you're getting a safe, consistent gain year by year by year, obviously it's going to get you to the finish line. It's going to get you to that goal more successfully. But if you're looking to basically, if you understand, like I have conversations with individuals all the time, especially family, friends, whatever it is, and some people understand specific niches very, very well. I have a couple of clients that are pharmaceutical sales reps. They understand the drug companies better than anybody, so they know how to pick and choose, the pharmaceutical sales. They understand how to pick and choose the pharmaceutical stocks. Different, obviously, if you know your area and you have a good understanding of what's going to be happening in that specific area, you could go and master that stock or master that mutual fund or whatever that is. My personal opinion is I like to always have that safe consistency. I like to know what's my worst case scenario, every single time. And this is why whenever I talk to clients, they kind of hear the passion in my voice. And this is what I try to at least revert back to, my different advisors through Afasi Financials. I say, if you believe in it, then obviously, explain it to your clients properly. Say, this is my certain belief. This is exactly, I'm always looking at the worst case scenario projection. But this is why when calling into the office, it's so important, because an annuity might be right for you and may not be correct for you. If you're more on a riskier mindset, if you really don't have a generalized goal in mind, and even after speaking with us, we ask you a whole slew of questions to try to get your brain thinking on what might be the best scenario for me. Are there specific gaps in my portfolio, in my specific financial plan? If there are no gaps and you could accomplish your goals by just doing everything that you've been doing, then there's no need to place your money into an annuity contract. But if you do want to make sure that you're taking that worry, you're taking away that panic that if the market crashes, I don't want to lose my money. If I want to retire exactly at 62 or 67, whatever that is, I want to know that for sure there's X amount of thousands of dollars that are coming into me every single year that I could spend my retirement dollars with confidence. That's what annuities could accomplish for your specific needs. And this is why I like annuities. This is why I always deal with annuity planning, or at least do very safe money strategies. And I could leverage a lot of annuity contracts to do that properly, is because it's set up through insurance companies. They're extremely safe. They're safe contracts depending upon whatever your state is. They have certain state regulations. They have to make sure that they're accepted in that specific area. They have certain minimum requirements for you to get into it. But, it's not just a one-size fits all. You can't just say, "Oh, I hate annuities." Well, what's your goal? Why do you hate annuities? What's the alternative out there, as opposed to saying, "Oh," or even if you love annuities, well, what's your goal? You can't just go in and sit down at a seminar and get all get all blush and flustered and say, "Oh my gosh, this looks so great." If somebody's pitching you one annuity product, most likely it's not going to be the one for you. You want to make sure that you're going to the independent agency. They're asking you all the different questions, all the different goals, and you're making sure that you're correlating properly. Once again, my name is Derek Afasi. I'm the owner of Afasi Financial Group. At any time, if this video piques any interest to you, please give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002. We have specialists standing by 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to handle the national volume. Depend upon your area, depend upon your goals. We'll mold a specific situation. We'll mold the specific scenarios and recommendations on that specific situation. We are A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. We've never had any complaints. That's because of this methodical process. We want to make sure that you are comfortable every step of the way, and you looking at it as a tool. If you do not need that tool, such as the annuity tool, then don't go with an annuity contract. But you want to make sure that you're educated, all in the same way. And on average, we go about over 1,200 different scenarios, hundreds of different types of safe money and annuity contracts in that specific area, and different scenarios in conjunction with it, getting to over 1,200 per individual that calls in. And then we obviously make the recommendations off the top three. So this process is known as a Retire Sharp planning system. No other carrier out there, no other company, no other independent agency out there has this process in line. And give us a call. Hopefully we could educate you, and feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you could have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys, for watching.